In a world swirling with noise, urgency, and confusion, one of the greatest disciplines you can cultivate is the training of your mind to be calm in every situation. Calmness is not weakness. It is not indifference. It is the highest form of strength a soul can possess. When chaos surrounds you, when the winds howl and the storms of life rise, the trained mind says, "Be still." There is something greater than this storm. Training your mind to be calm is not a one-day task. It is not something you accomplish by mere willpower or external motivation. It is a daily practice, a commitment, a journey inward. Just as we feed and strengthen our bodies, we must educate and discipline our minds. And that begins by examining what we allow into them. What are you feeding your mind? Is it soaked in fear, doubt, and restlessness? Or do you fill it with truth, wisdom, and peace? Remaining calm is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of great inner strength. In fact, it takes more courage to stay calm in the face of adversity than to react impulsively. Society often glorifies those who speak the loudest, move the fastest, and respond the quickest. But true strength is found in the one who remains composed, centered, and grounded. Calmness does not come from a lack of problems. It comes from a deep-rooted understanding that problems do not define us, and that we have the power to choose our response to them. When you train your mind to remain calm, you're building a fortress within yourself that no storm can shake. You become the eye of the storm, steady, unshaken, and clear in the midst of confusion. Think of a great tree with deep roots. Though the winds may blow and the rains may pour, it stands tall because its foundation runs deep. Likewise, the calm mind is not moved by every storm that passes by. It is grounded not in ignorance of trouble, but in the wisdom that overreaction solves nothing. Reaction is often driven by fear or pride, and both cloud our judgment. Calmness, on the other hand, creates space for clarity, allowing us to respond with purpose, not panic. It turns chaos into a lesson, not a loss. It helps us hear what matters and ignore what doesn't. The world does not need more noise. It needs people who carry stillness within them. Calmness is strength because it represents mastery over the self. Anyone can lose their temper. Anyone can give in to fear. But it takes a trained, focused mind to say, "I will not be moved." Calmness becomes a shield in conflict, a healing balm in tension, a guiding compass when the road is unclear. In relationships, calmness allows us to listen more than we speak. In challenges, it reminds us that emotions are temporary, but consequences are lasting. Calm people are not emotionless. They are emotionally intelligent. They feel the same fears and frustrations as others, but they've learned how to process them rather than be ruled by them. To cultivate calmness is to make a daily decision to pause before responding, to reflect before reacting, and to trust in something higher than the storm. It is a sign of maturity, of character, and of inner growth. You do not become calm by accident. It requires conscious effort, spiritual discipline, and a commitment to inner peace. And once it is built, it becomes your strength in every situation. You are not easily provoked. You are not easily discouraged. You walk into every room with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. That is strength. That is power. That is the beauty of a calm mind. A calm mind is not born from mere desire. It is the product of discipline practiced daily. Just as an athlete conditions the body through regular training, so must we condition our minds to respond with peace rather than panic. The mind left untrained will naturally drift toward fear, confusion, and negative reaction. But when we take responsibility to shape our thoughts, we begin to rise above emotional impulses and live with greater clarity and strength. Discipline is not a punishment. It is a path to freedom when you train your mind through intentional habits like stillness, silence, reflection, and focused thought. You are building resilience that will serve you in every moment of life. Mental discipline starts with awareness. You must begin to notice what your mind dwells on throughout the day. Is it consumed by worry? Is it constantly replaying past regrets or future anxieties? A disciplined mind learns to pause, to challenge those thoughts, and to redirect them toward truth and peace. One of the most powerful practices is stillness. In a noisy world, stillness becomes a sacred classroom. When we sit in silence, free from distractions, free from external pressures, we give our mind space to reset, refocus, and recover. Meditation and prayer, when practiced consistently, create a safe refuge within us that we can return to no matter the situation outside. Discipline is also built through intentional choices. What we read, what we watch, who we listen to, all shape our thoughts. A mind that constantly feeds on chaos cannot expect to produce calmness. So we must guard the gates of our mind with care, allowing in only what nourishes and strengthens. Just as the body rejects harmful substances, the disciplined mind must reject toxic influences, gossip, negativity, anger, and fear. Instead, it must welcome truth, hope, wisdom, and light. Over time, these choices shape not just our thinking, but our very identity. The mind must also be trained through practice in real situations. It's easy to feel calm in moments of peace, but discipline is proven in conflict. When someone offends you, do you react with anger or respond with grace? When plans fall apart, do you collapse in fear or adapt with trust? Every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen the mind further. Discipline grows not in comfort, but in resistance. The more you practice calmness when it's hard, the stronger your mind becomes. Ultimately, training the mind is not about suppressing emotion. It's about mastering it. It's not about being untouched by life, but being unmoved by things that don't deserve your peace. It's about developing an inner foundation so strong that no external circumstance can take it from you. With daily discipline, the mind becomes a servant of your purpose, not a slave to your emotions. It becomes a powerful tool for peace, focus, and wisdom. And that kind of mind changes not only your life, but the lives of all around you. Anxiety does not originate from the situations we face. It grows from the thoughts we allow to dwell in our minds. Most of the time, it is not the actual event that causes distress, but the story we tell ourselves about it. The untrained mind quickly assumes the worst, magnifies uncertainties, and imagines outcomes far more painful than reality itself. This internal chaos becomes the breeding ground of fear, doubt, and restlessness. But when the mind is trained, when it is taught to observe, evaluate, and respond rather than react, it gains the power to dismantle anxiety before it takes root. You begin to realize that you are not your thoughts, and that not every thought deserves your belief. The mind has a tendency to wander, especially during moments of stress. It leaps ahead into the unknown or retreats into past failures. But peace cannot be found in either direction. It can only be found in the present. An untrained mind constantly drifts away from the present moment, causing unnecessary suffering through imagined fears and rehearsed regrets. When you allow your mind to dwell on what ifs and if onlys, you hand over your calmness to the storms of speculation. But when you train your mind to stay in the now, to take each moment as it comes, you reduce anxiety significantly. You begin to realize that most of what you feared never came to pass. And even if trouble arrives, it never defeats a prepared and peaceful mind. To overcome anxiety, one must take full responsibility for their thought life. You cannot control what others say or what happens around you, but you can absolutely choose how you interpret and respond to it. This is not denial. It is discipline. It is recognizing that most internal storms are born from distorted perceptions, false narratives, and unchecked imagination. When you feel overwhelmed, pause and ask yourself, is this thought based on truth or fear? If it's fear, challenge it. If it's truth, face it calmly. You have the authority to direct your thoughts, just as you would steer a ship through rough waters. Practical tools also play a vital role in calming the anxious mind. Deep breathing, journaling, prayer, and reflection are not just emotional aids. They are mental strategies. They bring structure to the chaos and help you break the cycle of overthinking. When practiced regularly, these habits create mental pathways that lead back to peace, even when tension arises. They serve as reminders that no matter how loud the storm gets, you always have a place of stillness within you, ready to be accessed through intentional focus. Anxiety grows when thoughts go unchallenged and emotions go unregulated. But a trained mind understands the difference between a passing emotion and a permanent truth. It learns to separate feeling from fact, fear from wisdom, and noise from guidance. This training doesn't make you immune to anxiety, but it equips you to rise above it. It gives you the tools to calm the storm within before it becomes a storm without. Over time, what once overwhelmed you becomes manageable. What once broke you begins to strengthen you. The truth is, anxiety will knock on every door, but it does not have to live in your house. You have the power to confront it with a clear mind, a grounded spirit, and an unshakable resolve. Train your thoughts, guard your peace, and never forget, most of the battles we fight are not out there in the world. They begin and end in the mind. A trained mind is not easily shaken, and that makes it one of the most powerful forces a person can possess. Thy peace is not the absence of noise, problems, or pain. It is the presence of calm in the middle of them. Life will never be free from challenges. Storms will come. Unexpected moments will shake your plans, and difficulties will test your endurance. But peace is not found by escaping from these things. It is found by standing firm in them with a heart that refuses to be disturbed. To train your mind to choose peace in the midst of chaos is to rise above your immediate circumstances and place your trust something greater than your situation. It is the deep inner decision to say, though the world around me may tremble, I will not let it steal my stillness. This choice to be calm is not made once. It is made daily, sometimes moment by moment. It is a spiritual discipline that must be built over time. Every time you face a moment of stress or conflict, you are offered a choice to react in fear or to respond with peace. Most people allow the moment to dictate their mood. They become victims of their surroundings. But the one who is trained to remain calm has learned to master the moment instead of being mastered by it. This mastery is not arrogance or emotional suppression. It is maturity. It is the fruit of a mind that has been anchored in truth, not tossed around by emotion. Peace in chaos begins by pausing. When the world rushes around you and pressure builds, a calm mind pauses before responding. That moment of silence, that breath, that stillness, it creates space for clarity. Without that space, we speak words we regret, make decisions we question, and take actions we later wish we hadn't. But in stillness, we give ourselves time to think, to see clearly, to remember what matters. We shift from reacting to responding, from fear to faith, from confusion to direction. That is the power of choosing peace. It unlocks wisdom in the heat of the moment. The calm mind is like a lighthouse in a storm. It doesn't stop the waves, but it gives guidance to those around it. In families, in workplaces, in communities, people who choose peace become examples of strength. They don't need to shout to be heard. Their quiet confidence speaks louder than noise. And this calmness is not just beneficial to others. It protects your own well-being. Stress and anxiety eat away at health, clarity and joy. But when peace rules your mind, you find rest even in the midst of hard labor. You carry serenity in your spirit, and that serenity becomes your shield. To reach this level of calmness, we must also release the illusion of control. Much of our anxiety comes from trying to manage what is beyond us. But when we surrender the need to control every outcome, we make room for peace. We begin to focus on what we can do, guard our thoughts, speak wisely, act with integrity, and walk in patience. The rest we leave in higher hands. This surrender is not giving up. It is growing up. It is realizing that inner peace is more powerful than outer perfection. When your mind is trained to choose peace, it doesn't mean you won't face storms. It means the storms won't control you. It means you've learned to walk with stillness even when the ground beneath you shakes. You've learned that true calm isn't based on what happens to you. It's based on what you've cultivated within you. Peace is always possible, but it must be chosen, practiced, and protected. And when it is, nothing this world throws at you can destroy the calm that lives inside. The mind is like a garden. What you plant and water is what will grow. If you continually feed your thoughts with negativity, fear, and doubt, those emotions will flourish and overtake your inner peace. But if you nourish your mind with truth, stillness, and wisdom, then calmness, clarity, and strength will begin to blossom. The reality is simple. Your mind reflects what it consistently consumes. Just as your physical health depends on the quality of food you eat, your mental peace depends on the quality of thoughts you entertain and the messages you allow to enter your inner world. You cannot expect peace to rule in your mind while constantly feeding it with the noise of the world. In the age of constant connectivity, it is easier than ever to become overwhelmed. Endless news cycles, angry voices, and social comparisons flood our minds daily. If left unchecked, these influences shape our thoughts, distort our reality, and rob us of our inner calm. A trained mind understands this danger and sets boundaries. It carefully chooses what to watch, what to read, what to listen to, and who to follow. It doesn't allow harmful voices to have space in the heart. It doesn't dwell on the critical, the chaotic, or the fearful. Instead, it turns to sources of light, truth, and encouragement. It seeks out wisdom. It listens to what is right, not just what is loud. You must become intentional about what you allow into the gates of your mind. You are the gatekeeper. Not everything that wants your attention deserves it. Not every argument needs your reply. Not every fear deserves your focus. A calm mind is the result of protecting your thoughts with the same care you would guard a treasure. You must ask yourself regularly, is this thought helping me grow? Or is it feeding my fear? Is this content bringing me peace? Or is it pulling me into panic? The more you practice this mental filtering, the more natural it becomes to walk in peace. You no longer become a prisoner of what surrounds you. You become the master of what is within you. A calm mind does not grow in a day. It grows gradually day by day as you build a habit of feeding it what is pure, true, and uplifting. That may include reading sacred words of wisdom, journaling your thoughts, sitting in silence each morning, or choosing to speak words of life over yourself. These habits, though simple, have powerful effects over time. They transform your mind from a place of unrest to a place of peace. They create mental pathways of stillness so that when chaos knocks, you already know the way back to calm. The truth is, we cannot live in peace if we constantly feed on fear. We cannot grow in strength if our thoughts are consumed by weakness. But we can make a change, starting with one decision at a time. Choose peace. Choose silence over noise. Choose reflection over reaction. Choose wisdom over worry. You will find that as your mental diet changes, so will your emotions, your actions, and your outcomes. What once disturbed you deeply will no longer shake you. What once caused confusion will now be met with clarity. That is the result of a mind that has been trained to feed on truth and anchored in the discipline of calmness. It is not a dream. It is a choice you can make starting today. When you develop the ability to remain calm in every situation, you not only benefit yourself, but you also become a blessing to those around you. Calmness is not just a personal virtue. It becomes a source of strength, guidance, and hope for others. In a world filled with anxiety, confusion, and emotional turbulence, people naturally gravitate toward those who carry peace within. Your calmness can quiet a storm in someone else's life. It can bring perspective to the overwhelmed, assurance to the uncertain, and comfort to the hurting. You become more than just a steady presence. You become a living example of stability, showing others that it is possible to rise above panic and walk in peace. Often, people are not looking for someone who has all the answers. They are looking for someone who is not shaken by the questions. When others see you navigating stress without being overtaken, facing difficulty without losing your temper, or handling pressure without falling into despair, it inspires them to do the same. Your calmness speaks volumes even when you say nothing. It communicates trust, strength, and maturity. It sends a message that storms do not have the final word. And sometimes, without realizing it, you may be the reason someone else chooses to pause, breathe, and respond with wisdom instead of fear. In families, calmness has the power to heal. A peaceful parent teaches their children how to process emotions. A steady spouse brings harmony into the home. A calm sibling or friend becomes a safe space where others can be real without judgment. In communities, calmness becomes the glue that holds people together during tough times. When a crisis arises, people turn toward those who radiate inner stillness, not because the calm person is perfect or always right, but because they provide grounding. They reflect the possibility that peace can still be present even in the middle of the storm. To become this kind of person, your calmness must be genuine. It cannot be faked, and it cannot be switched on and off. It must come from a deep well within, formed through discipline, shaped through experience, and strengthened through truth. The more you build your inner peace, the more naturally it flows outward. Calmness is not forced. It is a fruit of a life that is grounded in values, clear in purpose, and anchored in something deeper than circumstances. Your influence will often be most powerful not when you speak loudly, but when you remain calm in the chaos. People remember those who stood firm when others broke. They remember the ones who brought a sense of calm when everything else was unraveling. This is not about being emotionless or detached. It's about having such a deep-rooted peace that even when you feel emotion, you are not ruled by it. You have learned how to process the storm without becoming the storm. So let your calmness be more than a personal goal. Let it be a light for others. Let it be the quiet voice in a noisy world, the still water in troubled times, the steady hand when others tremble. Because when your mind is trained to be calm, your very presence becomes a gift to others. And in a world that often lacks peace, that gift is more valuable than gold. Let your calmness be your testimony, your legacy, and your silent strength that brings peace to others even when words fail.